Hello and welcome to tonight's broadcast. Relax, take out your pen and paper, and doodle with me as I go over some of my favorite monsters in fiction and folklore. So I think most of us have seen a deer before. You know, they're cute and adorable, they're often hunted and looked at in admiration. Well, unless it's SCP-6448, also known as not deer. Tonight's topic is a strange and anomalous creature that stalks the Appalachian area. We'll go over the SCP Foundation article and try to understand what a not deer is. Special containment procedures for SCP-6448 are based on investigating and studying the anomaly, rather than simply keeping it contained. Anyone who gets a glimpse at these creatures gets a visit from Mobile Task Force, also known as Gamma 4 or Green Stags. If you wander off and you accidentally get taken out by one of these things, it'll be labeled as a hiking accident. Seeing them in action also has a cover-up, attributing the anomalous traits to chronic wasting disease. Any capture instance of this creature should be taken to Site-44, the Cryptozoology Division. As the name and thumbnail suggest, these are deer, but not really. They are part of the Cervidae family, hopefully I said that right, which include deer and moose, and elk. Basically, they're deers with mutations, but even more terrifying, they have some sort of intelligence and are considered sapient, which is absolutely terrifying once we go over the full description of this anomaly. As you can imagine, these are basically just deers with abnormalities, such as legs bent backwards, barrel-chested and bloated abdomens, emaciated, eyes belonging to unrelated animals, forward-facing eyes, jerky movement, loss of fear towards humans, and a tendency to walk on their hind legs, and just general body disfigurement. And you know, I like drawing monsters, it's like good practice, but turning a deer, which is already really cute, into like a disgusting, disfigured thing was tough. So what do these creatures do? Well, according to the Foundation, their main hobby, or instinct in this case, is to stalk people for hours at a time, sometimes even going into their home and stealing their things. You'll encounter these not deer mainly in deep woodlands, at dusk or at nighttime. Any normal person's first instinct after witnessing one of these creatures would be to point out their abnormalities. Unfortunately, doing this will result in the person being taken out. So a little bit of background and history on this SCP. The Appalachian people have already known about not deer since 1947, but it wasn't officially recognized by the SCP Foundation until 1980. The SCP-6448 was originally housed in Site-41, but these clever not deer dug up some tunnels and they found a way out. After this, a couple more instances broke out through the same tunnels. The Foundation eventually decided to send these creatures overseas to Site-44. We'll see later how that actually backfired. Addendum 64481. Some of the unfortunate 911 calls all relating to the anomalous not deer. So here's one of the calls made on December 10th, 2012. The aforementioned victim's supervisor calls authorities following the victim's absence from the reserve night shift. Following this, the radio begins to crackle. The victim's voice can be heard on the other end, and he requests the supervisor's attention. He calls regarding a herd of Adoquelius virginianus. Within the reserve, they claim there's a single animal that upon first glance appears average, though possesses divergent attributes including backwards-facing joints, an enlarged abdomen, and forward-facing eyes. Suspecting the creature to be a rare genetic malformation, the victims request their supervisor to come to the location. The supervisor questions the victim about what happened the night previous. There is no reply. Upon the supervisor's and the law enforcement's arrival at the site, a herd of approximately 80 Adoquelius virginianus was present. A single entity is in the field's center and appeared to be standing separately from the rest of the group. It flees the scene upon realizing the law enforcement's presence. Where it formerly stood lay the park ranger's standard two-way radio. So what I'm thinking about that one is, what if it was the deer itself that was mimicking the victim's voice so that more people would come to its location? Or when the victim pointed out all the malformations on the deer, or the not deer, that's what got him taken out, leaving behind the two-way radio. Here's a 911 call from June 6, 2002. Victim age 28 male calls 911 regarding a home break-in. The caller notes numerous items to be missing from the residence and requests an investigation. Operators dispatch 2 investigators to visit the home and discern a potential perpetrator. The pair note that based on earlier CCTV images, all cutlery, sharp objects, firearms, light bulbs, and a single copy of the novel The Day After Roswell are missing. Also noted is that there's a complete lack of fingerprints at the scene, with no doors or windows having been broken into. Analysis of the home's CCTV footage revealed that there's a 2-hour period of missing film, with the exception of a single frame containing a Servius nippon on its hind legs reaching towards the camera. Its frontal hooves have been warped to resemble fingers. No footage of the entity exiting the home was discovered. So those were just some of the 911 calls relating to the SCP-6448 anomaly. I'm also going to be covering Addendum 64482, Incident 6448, Alpha. This instance of not deer resulted in the successful capture and transportation of SCP-6448 to England's Site 44 facility. The capture was done by Green Stags and another mobile task force, No. 7, also known as Hammer Down. Separated by a one-way mirror, the not deer stands in a reinforced steel containment cell. The interviewer, Researcher Oz, begins to question the entity. Basic interview questions about what it really is, why it's imitating a deer, and why it's interested in humans. At first, the anomaly is hesitant to act, but soon it is revealed that it is aware of the researchers beyond the one-way mirror. The thing speaks to my surprise, uttering the word research in a distorted mimicry of Researcher Oz's own voice. Now here's where things get interesting. The not deer suddenly rushes at the one-way mirror and shatters it slightly before revealing what it truly is. A series of bodily malformations occur before a black mass erupts from the abdomen of the creature. It breaks through the one-way mirror, and although the Foundation is quick to act, SCP-6448 finds itself outside, now lost across the Atlantic. So now, thanks to the incompetence of the Foundation, there's a not deer free on English soil, and apparently the mothership heard about it, because there's been a rise of UFO sightings in the area. So that was kind of surprising. I was expecting it to be a Wendigo situation, but we got aliens, which is pretty cool still, right? It seems to me at least that the SCP is some sort of extraterrestrial that's true form as a black mass that exists in the deer carcass. Its fascination for humans could be research oriented. But why a deer when a cat or a dog would have been a lot easier to use if your goal was to study humans? Strange. So that's it for tonight's broadcast and my first ever video. It was fun making this after writing 3 different scripts and landing on this SCP. Although on my next video, I'll most likely be covering Gravity Falls Bill's Cipher. I think, like a lot of people right now, I'm also rewatching Gravity Falls, so stay tuned for that. Hope I see you here next week. Thank you for joining me. Have a great and spooky night.